Hello, my friends. Welcome back to day 7. The last past couple of days haven't been looking good for us, so hopefully, at least one more successful win might be good. Um, you can hear my voice today. If you looked at yesterday's video, it was all basically music, which wasn't the real intent, but hopefully that's fine. It's time to get warm here because storm's been going crazy over this weekend. So if you're in the UK, you will know. And with that, let's look at today's problem. What was the idea here? Oh yes. So basically, we are given a number in a line, something like this, and we have to basically try to create that number with the other numbers that we're given. Using the operations is only what is called, you can only use the plus and the multiply operation, and then basically as the example shows, you can do 10 times 1 19 here. You can do both of these ways there. The calculation happens from left most way, so you have to do 81 plus 40 first before doing times 27, and not 40 times 27 plus 81, which you will do in a normal mathematical computations. So we shall start by copying this input file as normal, and then paste it in there, and then we will run in our main.go, zoom in a little bit like we normally do, and then import. Start with it always starts with input of fmt, doesn't it? I don't know if I even have to do it because recently it's been filling it by itself. So um oh, actually, so what was I gonna say? Function main. Mhm. So we'll say data comma error. This might be better to read line by line, right? So for each line, we will calculate the permutations, and then also we have to, for let's say we can actually, I don't think I explained it in the question, you probably have seen it already anyway. So this one we can actually create 190 from these numbers, right? So if we can create it, we have to do the sum, and the only way that I can kind of think of doing this is by kind of like brute forcing. Not brute for Yeah, it is brute forcing. So we find the all the possible operations that we can do with these numbers, so the different permutations of plus and times, and then we will try all of them, and if it equals to that, we know we have a valid. So we will go line by line, check if it's valid, and if it is, we will just add this number to our total. Okay, so so it's a data comma error, and I don't want to do error checking. um, so data comma, what was it, read by line, utils dot read. This package main in here again, isn't it? I think if I can type it correctly, that is. Okay, there we go. Utils dot read file by line, and then we'll pass in our input file.txt, and that, I think that is all it takes. Um, so we loop through the data because the data returns each thing as a line. So we'll say for underscore comma line in the range of our data, and for each line we need to split it by a column. So we will say line split. We say split a line. We'll say strings dot split. Well, we want to split the line and by a colon space. I think there's always a space after a colon, um, and hopefully that should is printed fmt dot print line, We'll say split line, and then cd into 7, I think, and we'll say run main, no, go run. 7 days in, still struggling running the file. And why is that not running? Why is that not running? Am I, wait, 7, yeah, main.go. Why is that not printing? Print line, split line. Let me try and debug this. So it hits that line. I said, can't type in here now. I can type there. I can type there. Why can't I type? Oh no, it's because the debug session isn't actually running. What have we? So hit the line. Range of data. So we're not getting any data back. Is that what it is? Read file by line. Go into definitions. Just takes it a file path. Oh no, because I don't have any. I don't know. I pasted it right. I don't know why. Stop that. This is still not printed. If it didn't work with the split, I can live with that, but actually not having the data doesn't help data. Straight not. Am I in the right input file here? /7/input file.txt. Am I? That's the problem. That is indeed the problem. See, you can do something for 7 days in a row and still keep running into the same mistakes. 190, 1019. Is 1019 a string? Let's print the one. Yeah. So I'll have to final value or final value is going to be the strings that converts it, or no, string convert dot a to I split line 1. No, split line 0. So okay, because it returns an error. Okay, and then the other one will be let's call them digits operation digits. Let's call them digits. That will probably return that as well, and we'll say string convert a to I, and then we'll convert split line 1, and then I have to convert because this will split line is that, so I have to split that first. Strings dot split, and we'll split that on a field split or something is a thing. Yeah, strings dot fields. No, say split. Oh no, I can't. It won't allow me to do that because it's go being go. But I'm pretty sure splitting by when you're splitting by, like, let's say, the spaces, you can just use strings dot fields, I think. Yeah, let us go with that. Then we don't have to specify any of that, and we will call that digits string. Assignment mismatch, two variables but strings. Fields returns one value. Okay. Now we haven't even gotten to the more difficult part of the problem, which will be creating permutations. Final value declared and not used. Split value line probably isn't used, is it? Okay, so we're printing digits string, and then we'll just call digits, and then we will call our function dot utils. What did I create? String array to integer, and we will pass in digits to string, and then that string array to integer is something I created in previous problems, so I can just use it when needed. Final value, and then what I will call in here is a function, recursive function, probably, since we want to do iterations. And then I'll pass in the final value and our digits and the operators. So I should probably create operators. That is going to be times. I'll just pass in that. Probably not, right? Plus, yeah. And then how would you do the operation if we passed that in? Unexpected comma, expecting that. I don't know, because that's not how you create slices or arrays, whatever you want to call them. Um, you said that. Still have to specify, even though we're using that operators, and then we will say for each line we want to generate permutations, right? Now we'll create something called can be created. Now we'll say result is valid or something. I don't know, that's not probably a nice name. That's the name of our function. We'll call that function. To check if the result is valid, we will need the final value. We will need our digits, and also we will need our operators. All function result is valid, and that will take in a final value, that will take in digits, so that will be type of integers, and then our operators, that will be the type of string. Final value, what's final value? Just as integer, isn't it? And what do we want to return? We probably want to return a boolean, say if that line is valid. So now I'll create another function called create functions. Expected that, but found that, whatever. Return it here. Probably don't need the semicolons. Can I do that? Function expected that, but found create permutations. Still doesn't like it. What's wrong with the syntax? Let's see. What's wrong with the syntax? Using return type for create permutations. Well, I did add it. It's probably not being used, isn't it? That's probably a problem. Let's try that. Let's try what we have here. Probably should be very similar anyway. So as long as I don't get the errors, that's fine. Z, why is it going out of the? Yeah, that's fine. Functionality of create permission can be added here. That's fine. Returns a boolean. Create permutations. So you don't create it. Wait, what? Does the same thing. Call the anonymous function if needed. Example to call. Whatever. Okay. Okay, how will we create our permutations then? That is the main thing here. So we will have a base case. We want to go by recursion. So we need a base case, and that will be if the length of whatever we create, that doesn't return a boolean. That will just have to return a string of type, what are we gonna call it? Permutation string. No, that's, yeah, no, we want that as a variable, and permutations will probably be a list of strings. And so if length of permutation string is greater than or equal to the length of our final value, no, length of what? Oh no, we need the no, length of our digits, right? Because you'll always have one less operation compared to the number of, you'll just return operators. Return that or that, I don't know. What do we even want to return? For permutations of a string, we want to return a list of permutations, right? But the permutation string is not really matter. It matters on the length of the string itself. Let us say that for now. So how will we create the permutation? So if it's that, otherwise, we need to pass in our operators somehow, or use our operators for, comma, operator in the range of our operators. Let us say create permutations. Permutation string. Now should it get the operator and not a permutation string or whatever? Permutation string is just a list of operators. That's what I want to create. For every operator in the range of operators, so it'll be times and equals, times and plus. We want to create the permutation. Create permutations. Create permutations, and what it takes is a permutation string. And what will be our permutation string? Operator. Initially it is operator. Operator 0 plus that. Single permutation string. For each operator, we want to create all of the possible permutations. For one of them. So given we start with for every operator, go through the range of operators. We want to create a permutations of operator, and we pass an operator, right? So initially what will happen? Initially, I think this loops should be outside this, right? So this is where we will actually call the function. No, but then that's not really recursion, is it? So we need it to call itself. We need a way for it to call itself, and I think that is probably the best way. We don't want it to return a string. Let's think about it this way. Right, let's try to make our return values correct. So create permutation will return a list of string. So on our last case, we want to return a list of strings. Let's return one. It has one empty string, right? Now, if we go through our operators, so that'll be, let's say, starts with a plus or times. Times we have starts with a times. We create a permutation operator. But create permutation, what does it return? It returns a list of string. So we kind of have to, for that string, for whatever create permutations returns, we have to update it and then push it back. How do we join it? Permutation string plus create permutations. No, but then we have to pass that with our operator, whatever the permutation string was initially. In here, what if we just pass in that to begin with? So we pass in an empty string, and then every recursive call, we will pass in whatever we have as a permutation string plus our operator. right? So we don't need that part. Uh, Undefined create permutations. Why is it undefined? I don't. Let's not return it for now. Want this to return false anymore. Uh-huh. Okay, so permutation string, that it keeps doing that, but we haven't said, okay, also for each permutation that we create, because it returns a list of string, don't we want to add that to our final? Let's say we have a variable called results, and it'll be a list of strings, and we will say for each of the permutations, permutation, in the range of this call that we make, we will add this permutation that we just created into our result. No. Add results is going to be it's going to be append to results our operator plus permutation. Does it matter the order in which we go? Permutation string plus operator. Shouldn't be empty string, otherwise it'll be empty every time. So in this case, we want our permutation string in the operator. What we will do in here is have our operator, and we'll add our permutation. Well, this permutation string is the permutation. Results. Why is that not used? Okay. And then we will return the results outside of that. Oh, no, I don't want to redeclare it. Still doesn't like undefined create permutations. It's not, don't need to assign it to anything, just call it straight away. Why is it undefined? Compiler undeclared name. Create permutations, create permutations, create permutations. Is it because of what it returns? There's no error that is being returned here. I don't know why it's not liking that. Undefined of create permutations. Am I? Is it just because of this syntax? Let's just say the normal way. It doesn't even like this creation though. So we have to store it in a variable called create permutations. We will, I don't know, man. I genuinely have no idea why it does that. It doesn't like the call to create permutations. Mhm. Don't know why it doesn't like that. Okay, so we are having undefined problems, and in Go, at least the way I was calling it is just, I don't know, I have to define it beforehand. So I created a variable called create permutations, and I said it is going to be a function of this type, blah, blah, blah. Uh, Assign create permutations to this function we are running, and I think that is it, right? Then I'm also printing results in here just before I'm returning to see what we're doing. And oh, that's a lot more than I thought there was gonna be. If I do go run main.go, how many how many has it printed? So that times plus times plus times wait plus times. Yeah, so it's just repeating part of the sequence, and I'm going to guess this is because we're doing it for each line, but that doesn't do it for each line, is it? Because on every run we're calling this create permutations returns a list of strings. So if I just print not the results, call the create permutations function, and then shouldn't it be stored somewhere? But where did what happened to our permit? It returns a list of string, right? So we called it an fmt dot print line create permutations. No, but then will that work? Because it's a function, right? And is a function value not called? Yeah, I think I just printed here. Yep. So times and plus blah blah blah. Why is it still twice? Everything is twice. If I just store it in a, so we just call it all stations is going to be that. First one line is returning that. Second line is returning that. Third line should not return. The third line is returning that. Fourth is that. Fifth is that. Sixth, seventh, oh, eighth and ninth. Okay, it is fine. So, okay, we got all our permutations, right? So now the main thing is to actually do that, okay? Is to actually do the calculations. So return is valid. What it checks is if the final value is valid for our permutation. So we have to go through the permutations for permutation. I should start renaming them something a little bit better. But so for each of the permutation in the range of all permutations, so that'll be like our times and plus. Um, how do you do the? Oh, okay. If for each of our permutations, so first thing we have is, let's say like this. We want to check for multiple cases, right? So we have times times. Mm, and we will say for each of the character in the, I don't know if I can do this, but we'll see, in our permutation. So for each of the character in our permutation, so that'll be first one times, and we have to get our digits. So I go through the index here. So if I am on index 0, let's say here, it should be 3, right? Which one is this? First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Let's go with the fifth one here. So we will say index 0 in digits, index that 0, and then index 1, index 1, index 2, index 2, and then index 3. Might have to create another function called perform operation, and it will take the two numbers either side and then perform that operation. For each character, equals in there. For each character should be that, right? But then how do we know the digits? Okay, before going into that, let's just deal with our total. So we'll call it result is going to be 0. And then for each line, if our result is valid, it will return true or false. Result plus equals to the final value, and then we will return the result. We'll just print it out. So hopefully our main function should be running as necessary now. Okay, I think I have sort of an idea what I want to do. So the idea is we will we'll go through the character. Instead of actually going through the character, we'll go through the index, and then we will do this index. So for each of the permutation, right? So start by creating the first digit. Um, First operation, first operation value. We will start by having our digits 0. So it'll be the first digit will be the first operation value, right? Um, and then we will go through the index um, in the range of our permutation. Do we want to go in our permutation or do we want to go in our digits? Start with our digits. I feel like digits might be more correct. And for each index, we'll create an evaluate function, right? Um, we will create an evaluate function and we will pass in our first operation value. We'll pass in our second operation value, which will be, no, we don't want to type that. We're going to pass in our second operation value, which will be digits and index plus 1. So it'll be the next one since, yeah, since index is the first operation. Yeah, yeah. And then we also want to pass in our character operation. I hope operation is not already a word. Undefined operation. Why are they not undefined then? Anyway, for index in the range of digits. And then we will reassign it to our first operation value. So whatever I get from this result, right? Let's say the first multiplication was between 6 and 8. We will get 48 in here. First operation value becomes 48. And then we will go in the range of digits. So this index becomes 1. Our first operation value is currently 48, so we'll pass in 48. And digits of index plus 1. So we said index was 1, so we'll get the second item. And this operation, so we'll have to probably define the operation, will be our permutation index. But since it might be out of index error here, index 0, index 1, index 2. But what about when we go to index 3? I think no. I think this shall be in the range of permutations. In the range of, no, in the range of permutation. Okay. So we need to create our evaluate function now. Do I want to, I will create it at the same way as before. Function, which will take in the first operation value, and that will be an integer. Then it will take the second operation value, and that will also be an integer. It will take the operation, which will be a string. And then we will assign it. So we will call it eval is going to be a function. Oh no, in here we only pass in the, so if I copy that, here we only want to pass in the actual type of the inputs. And then we'll also say that it wants returns an integer. Cannot use operation variable of type byte as, okay. Say rule. That is very weird. Let us pass in A for now. Will that work? Untype rune consonant as string value. You create a rune then. Operation. Well, if I just d dot print line operation, or is just print the actual operation, right? And then probably need to hide that as well. I need to hide this. Why is the for loop not working properly now? Expected declaration found for. To be honest, that should, oh no, because, yep. Wait, why is our, unless I'm also printing something else, putting everything in here, and result. Hopefully that doesn't. So that is not the result causing the error here. Nothing to print here. Okay. Blah blah blah. Create permutations is fine. All permutations is that, and it was working as expected. For permutation in range of all permutations. fnt.println permutation. Firstly, let's look at that. Oh no, it's printing the byte. I know why. It's the numbers. It is printing it as a byte. Say that. We'll keep that as it was before. I'm just gonna have to do some research on why it's a type of byte and not a type of rune in here. So if I just say operation is a byte, it will be a string or a rune. I think the only way might be to actually convert it. Do you want to create a rule? But I feel like I might not check it correctly later on. Okay, now if operation equals to times, we will return first operation value times second operation value. If probably should have done it else if or an else, but if it's a plus, we'll return first operation value plus its second operation value. Right, so we do the evaluation and then that happens, and that should keep running. Um, so at the end, first operation value should be the same as our final value. Is equals to final value undefined first operation value, or because it is outside that loop, and for that permutation it equals to the final value, return true. So over here, put a breakpoint right there, and then let's see if it runs. I'm seeing errors. Yeah, so I was going to debug it. Not that. Say first operation value 190. Okay. 3,267. I think if I remember it correctly, that was correct. 292. I don't know if that was correct. 267. 292 seems to be doing the job. Okay, so where was I? So, okay. So since this is returning true, we can print our final result in our main. Stop that. 3,749, is that correct? Yes. So we can get our puzzle input now. Copy that. Put that in there. Now we can do go run main.go. What is this number? That looks way too high, but it might be correct. Because yesterday we passed the input, but we didn't actually pass the final value. But today we got a gold star. All right. So every day is not the same. We're in 7 days, only on 5 stars. So if I won't get the time, I was gonna say if I get the time, I will probably go back to day 4 and whatever day where we were halfway through it, and then we couldn't really finish it, either time issues, mostly time issues. Yesterday's one we actually passed the example, but we didn't pass the main one. So that is it for today.